I had my seatbelt on. I took it off and I laid on the floor of my truck. And my truck was moving all over, getting hammered by trees. I thought it was a goner.
Back-to-back storms devastated huge swaths of BC. Early in the first storm, one of the biggest concerns were landslides across highways. One slide on Highway 99 north of Pemberton trapped dozens of people, killing 5. One of those in the middle of a wall of mud and debris, Global BC camera operator Mike Timbrell.
I heard this loud, terrifying roar. And, this roar came and it hit my truck. And there was trees flying. It finally all stopped. I managed to get out the passenger door and run. I turned around, looked at my truck. It was half buried. And all the cars that were on the road and all the people, they were just gone. Gone.
Now, one of the things that rescuers had been focusing on is...
For reporter Amadagahi, covering a story with such a personal connection was something he'd never had to do before.
It was so strange because not only do you want to get information from someone like that and learn what happened, but you're also trying to make sure that you're in tune with how they're feeling about what they're talking about.
5 people died in that slide, 4 bodies recovered, 1 person still listed as missing. The family of a couple swept off the road, trusting Global to put names and faces to their loss.
They left a 2-year-old girl behind, and it just breaks my heart. But my brother was always there, no matter when you needed him.
Afterwards, they said they would never do something like that again, and not because of any way that it had gone. It was just so difficult, and it was something very important because it gave a face to what was at the time just numbers and a death count.
The rain washed out roads in every direction from the community of Hope. Hundreds of people were trapped along the highways themselves, and 1,000 people simply passing through were forced to stay in a community cut off from everywhere. As people were desperate to get out, Global camera operator Justin O'Kines and reporter Kamal Karamali landed without any idea of what story they were telling or where they would even spend the night.
Luckily, a gentleman by the name of Justin Brown, who was hosting an entire hockey team prior to us arriving, also chose to host us as well, and he was kind enough to put a roof over our heads, so we just asked him if that was okay, and he gave us a couple of beds, a couple of pillows and blankets, and that's really all we needed.
In parts of Abbotsford, the water was inescapable. A river in Washington state burst its banks and poured across the border into what was an old lake bed pumped dry a century ago. Farmers lost livestock, equipment, homes, but the stories of cooperation and altruism were impossible to ignore.
We know of one farmer who opened his doors to another farmer, and his cows and his entire livestock supply was staying at this neighboring farm, and there were just so many examples of that, and you could have told each story because each one of those examples had a unique angle to it.
The water has receded. The roads around BC still aren't fully reopened. The physical recovery, a process that will be months, if not years, in the making.